You want to know what takes real courage? Holding it all together when the stakes are this high.
Politics may be the same old gridlock in Washington, D.C., but on Netflix, the political junkies will finally get their fix as the third season of House of Cards goes up online on February 27th. After spending almost 2 seasons scheming and cajoling and killing his way to greater and greater power, Francis Underwood is now President of the United States. And despite the third season curse that many dramas encounter, House of Cards is far from out of steam or scheme now that it is in the White House proper. Or rather, I'm going to put it this way for you. It may shake, and it may sometimes stumble, but in Season 3, this House of Cards is standing strong. Part of that is due to the setup of the previous 2 seasons. They've been steadily leading up to where we are now, and the payoff, well, it's very welcomed in my opinion. Because before, it was almost comical how Kevin Spacey played FU as always outwitting and out-FUing his enemies and friends. And now President Underwood, well, it's a bit different for him. He's hitting almost nothing but strikes, which gives him some real bite and bile, in my opinion.
I'm starting to question all of it, Francis. What are we doing this for?
For this house. For the presidency.
Even though it's often a soap by any other name, HOC, which is based on a British miniseries of the same name from the 1990s, is one of those shows we treat very seriously, maybe even sometimes too seriously, because it solidified a new path on the TV landscape and won the streaming service its first major nominations and awards. Now this year, with a very different texture than past cycles, it gets very serious. And once you get into it, either with a binge this weekend or over time, you'll see it contains some of the best stuff the Netflix series has ever done, especially the writing.
Today, I touched your shoulder. You flinched. Do you prefer I not?
What?
It was like
Where you had your hand is perfect.
you recoiled.
Great. All right, here we go.
I think you're reading too much into something.
A little more of a smile, please.
Now, the new season picks up a couple of months after Spacey's Underwood has moved into the Oval Office after pushing his predecessor to resign. Now, increasingly ineffectual in the office he's long coveted, Underwood's looking a lot like a seat warmer for the next guy who actually gets elected to the presidency, especially a media-darling Latino Republican who's gearing up for the 2016 race, which is kind of the Democrats' worst nightmare, both in this fictional world and in the real one. Now, I'm not going to give anything away, except to say this House of Cards has taken more of a kind of a Dick Wolf approach than previous seasons, with a ripped-from-the-headlines feel, with a strong-arming Russian president, enemies within and without, and some very poignant cameos that, while they might feel a little West Wing in their earnestness, still work. Now, yeah, there's a couple of out-of-date late-night appearances and a policy subplot that's kind of straight out of Dave, but they're more bumps on the road to a more underhanded Underwoodism, if you know what I mean. Because here's the real secret. It's the other Underwood who Season 3 of House of Cards is really about. Claire Underwood, played by Robin Wright, who snagged a Golden Globe for the role, I might add. Now, Spacey has gotten a lot of the attention over past seasons, but it's always been Wright who's provided the moral and emotional core to the show. Claire has also proven in A Marriage of Equals that she can often stick the knife in far deeper than her husband. And the blades are out in Season 3, my friends.
We're murderers, Francis.
We're survivors.
The independently ambitious now First Lady's move towards her own political Mount Everest is taking the series into even more timely territory, with real-life former First Lady and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton expected to launch a run of her own for the presidency in 2016. So yeah, House of Cards is back. Still pretty good, and this time, like could happen in the real world, it's the lady who's controlling the deck. So sit down at the table and play. I'm Dominic Patten for Deadline Hollywood.